other players are black. She also says, Miss Hill does, that there's a lesbian factor here. I don't know anything about this, that many of the players, the WNBA, are lesbians and women of color. And Caitlin Clark is straight and fairly...
Buddy, the WNBA has officially crossed the line from professional basketball into what feels like an all-out combat zone, and the entire sports world is melting down. You thought the physical play against Caitlin Clark was already bad, but what happened on national television has sparked one of the biggest controversies in recent league history, leaving fans demanding answers and justice. We are talking about a brutal WWE-style collision on the hardwood that sent a generational superstar crashing to the floor and instantly ignited outrage across social media. The timeline exploded after Phoenix Mercury forward Alyssa Thomas was accused of crossing the line with a dangerous play that left Caitlin Clark on the floor. The most controversial part of the incident was the claim that Clark was struck in the throat area, while fans and commentators questioned whether the officials handled the situation properly. Even more frustrating for many viewers was the perception that the referees were right there when the incident happened but failed to take immediate action. As the footage spread online, the media frenzy quickly intensified, with prominent commentators and podcast hosts weighing in and questioning the league's culture, officiating, and treatment of Clark. Now fans are asking whether the WNBA has a serious problem that needs to be addressed before another dangerous incident takes place.
Statements zeroing in on trying to break her. That happened. And here's how Ms. Clark reacted. Go.
When I walk out of the locker room, I shouldn't be not fearful of what the conversation is going to be, but, you know, you just it's emotionally exhausting, it's draining, it makes your shoulders tense because, you know, people don't want to talk about the basketball. They just want to stir it up and make it something else.
Okay, so Ms. Clark's been relatively classy about this. She has not made any accusations herself, as we can find. But this is around. There's no doubt about it. It's around. This from USA Today, extremely liberal newspaper, getting worse. Over the past few years, as women's basketball has exploded in popularity, much of the media and marketing attention is focused on three prominent white players. Clark, UConn Page.
The WNBA commissioner is now facing intense criticism. Suspensions have reportedly been handed down, and Caitlin Clark has finally stepped forward to address what many believe is happening behind the scenes. So don't click away, buddy, because we're breaking down the controversial footage, the reported injuries, the league's disciplinary response, and Clark's viral statement, piece by piece. Let's go back to the exact moment when the tension between the Indiana Fever and Phoenix Mercury reached a boiling point. It happened on June 24, 2026. During a high-stakes matchup between the Fever and Mercury at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Phoenix ultimately escaped with a narrow 111-120 victory in an incredibly physical battle, but the final score quickly became secondary to the controversy that followed. With just 6 minutes and 52 seconds remaining in the second quarter, the game suddenly erupted into chaos, creating a moment that would dominate the basketball conversation long after the final buzzer.
Yeah.
And yet so much of the discourse feels completely and totally unrelated to that. Do you feel that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of it is it's not always based in reality. I feel like media and journalism have a responsibility to tell the stories, and a lot of times you guys are the ones controlling the narratives about what people read and what people talk about, and a lot of that is sometimes so far out of touch with what is reality, and that can be confusing to somebody that's 24 and trying to navigate life and trying to help her team win a championship.
Case in point, an incident like Alyssa Thomas, the foul. A foul happens on the court.
Yeah.
You move on, she moves on.
Yeah.
And that should be the end of it.
100%.
So top down, what needs to be done so that is?
It seems like there's always a moment like that in every season that I've played so far, and I think for myself, I just try to navigate it the best I can. It gets exhausting, it gets frustrating because
Clark was driving into the lane and putting on a clinic when contact sent her crashing onto her side. As players scrambled for the loose ball, Thomas appeared to go after Clark instead of simply making a play on the basketball. During the chaotic exchange, Thomas was accused of striking Clark in the lower body, and as Clark went down, another moment of intense contact appeared to involve the throat area. To make matters even more controversial, Thomas then stood up and stepped over Clark while she was still on the floor. But buddy, here's the part that had fans demanding answers. The officials appeared to let the entire sequence continue without calling a foul, issuing a technical, or ejecting anyone. Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White was visibly furious on the sidelines, and after the game, she strongly criticized the officiating and questioned why Clark was repeatedly subjected to such physical treatment. White described the contact as dangerous and unacceptable, adding to the growing debate over player safety and consistency in officiating. The controversy didn't end there. Less than a minute later, another physical play involving Clark resulted in her landing awkwardly after contact while attempting a three-pointer. Clark was visibly uncomfortable as she got back to her feet and appeared to be dealing with back pain. Despite the physical punishment and the intensity of the game, she still managed to finish with 19 points and 8 assists in just 20 minutes, once again showing the toughness and competitive spirit that have made her one of the biggest stars in the WNBA.
Never had a conversation. I get people have a job to do, but at the same time, don't make accusations about my character and who I am when you don't know me. I understand this is your job and this is your profession and this is what you get to do, and basketball is my profession and what I get to do. And the reason I play it is when I step in between the lines, I love it. And that's what's so fun about it for me is I get to compete. This was always my dream, and nobody should ever try to take that away from me. The love and the joy that I have for the game, and they haven't and they won't, because it's my goal to win championships, and I know that I can help this team do that. And that's always what I remind myself in the moments that, things go downhill.
You have to be on the floor for those 17 games.
Damn right,
in order for that to happen, both health-wise and technical fouls.
Yeah. Good point. I was thinking more health. I forgot about the technicals.
So how are you squaring that in your head? Because that is within
I think it should be a great challenge for me to try to last 17 games without getting a technical. Unfortunately, I haven't got a single technical foul rescinded all year. But I think
the internet completely exploded after the controversial incident, with fans demanding accountability and calling for serious punishment. The outrage grew so quickly that major media personalities began weighing in, with Dan Dakich criticizing the situation on his podcast and questioning whether Stephanie White had done enough to protect Clark on the court. As pressure mounted and the league faced an escalating public relations crisis, the WNBA eventually reviewed the footage from the game. The league later determined that Alyssa Thomas had committed a non-basketball act involving contact with Clark's throat area and upgraded the original no call to a flagrant 2 foul. Thomas was then handed a 1-game suspension, which she served on June 27th when the Mercury faced the Toronto Tempo. However, many fans felt that a 1-game suspension was not enough and continued demanding stronger action. Amid the growing controversy, the entire basketball world waited for Caitlin Clark to finally address the incident herself. And when she eventually spoke publicly, she once again showed why she has become one of the biggest stars in the sport. Clark directly addressed the officiating and player safety concerns while maintaining a measured and professional tone. Looking into the cameras, she made her position clear, saying, "I did think it was a flagrant foul." With that statement, Clark openly expressed her disagreement with the official's decision while still acknowledging how difficult the job of refereeing can be. But she also delivered a clear message to the league, emphasizing that the officiating needs to improve and that the WNBA must do a better job protecting the players who compete in it.
Is different than the woman you're facing. Okay, no matter what you do, no matter how many stuff you take, you're born and your biological DNA sets you up with an advantage if you're a man over a woman. That's it. Good night. That's all. The rest of these nuts that exploit this trans stuff, to me, are bad people. They're not misguided. They're bad people. They're stupid people. So Cunningham says, hey, I don't think biological men should be playing sports with girls. Biological girls. Roll tape.
I said what I said. I think it's kind of common sense. And I think I'll always believe in that. I think it's really important to protect children, and that's little girls who are also involved in that category. And so I stand on what I said, and I always believe that. I'm there to love, but I'm also there to love biological women, and I think that there are rights that need to be protected. And like I said, I'm going to stand true to that. I'll never falter in my beliefs in that, but I have never once said I hated the trans community. Like I said, I think there's space for everyone.
Okay.
Okay, buddy, but this is where the story takes a major twist. Days earlier, Alyssa Thomas had spoken publicly about receiving disturbing death threats and facing intense backlash from angry fans. She also criticized WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert for what she viewed as a lack of response to the harassment. But did Clark use the situation as an opportunity to attack her rival? Absolutely not. Even after the controversial contact, being stepped over and ultimately leaving the game with a back injury, Clark chose to take the high road. Speaking to the media, she strongly condemned the harassment directed at Thomas and made it clear that personal attacks and threats have no place in sports. Clark emphasized that the harassment, the hate, none of that is okay, while reminding fans that there should never be any question about a person's character. In doing so, Clark demonstrated that even amid intense competition and controversy, she was willing to stand against abuse and keep the focus on the bigger issue of player safety. Buddy, this incident has become a major turning point in the WNBA conversation. The media is debating it, podcast hosts are breaking it down, and fans continue to voice their opinions across social media. What was once viewed by some as simply tough, physical basketball has now sparked a much bigger discussion about officiating, player safety, accountability, and how the league handles controversial incidents involving its biggest stars.
Kind of doing this like Alyssa Thomas tried to step on her. Clay Travis come out and said WNBA players hate Caitlin Clark and a cheap shot because she's white and she's straight. How long have we been saying that? 3 years now. The WNBA's got a real problem here. They've got a real problem with the players in this league. And here is my issue. Stephanie White should have lost her ever-loving shit on that floor after that dirty shot from Thomas. Of course she didn't. Of course she didn't. Because she's tight with Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner. Stephanie White should have got thrown out of this game on that play right there. Thrown out of the game. She should have, at minimum, got an ugly technical out of it. Nothing. Nothing. Stephanie White, she's not beating the allegations.
Now I want to hear from you. Do you think the WNBA failed Caitlin Clark by giving Alyssa Thomas only a 1-game suspension for the controversial contact? Should the officials have faced stronger consequences for missing the call? And what do you think about commentators like Bill O'Reilly stepping into the conversation and questioning the league's culture and player safety? Drop your raw, unfiltered thoughts in the comments below and let us know where you stand. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all notifications so you never miss the latest updates. The WNBA drama continues to unfold, and we'll be here covering every major twist as it happens. Thanks for watching, buddy, and I'll see you in the next one.